made it. We made it. Finally. Apologies for the delay. We've had one or two technical gremlins this afternoon, this evening, this morning, wherever you are in the world. Welcome to, can you believe it, episode 25 of Cocktails and Conversation. Yes, Mark Tubridy with the most trendy exposed brickwork in Brooklyn and Brittany Earton all the way over on the Pacific coast. We made it this far, a quarter century. How are you guys?
Doing well, doing well. I'm excited to be back. We've got two amazing, well, three, I should say, great guests this afternoon or night or morning or wherever you are in the world. And I have to say, it is starting to feel like fall, and I am so happy about it. Bring on the pumpkin spice lattes.
I was there back in August with the pumpkin spice lattes. As soon as it comes out, I bum rush the Starbucks. So I don't know if Nick does the same thing. I'm gonna guess not.
It's been a long time since I bum rushed to Starbucks, Mark, but I want that feeling one more time. The night is young. We've got so much to catch up on and so much to look forward to. Britt, you got to kick us off with your Dodgers experience, because it's been 2 weeks since I saw you. And you've been to Dallas?
Yes, I went to Dallas. My dad and I, most people know, are big Dodgers fans. And when they made it to the NLCS and they were actually selling tickets, mind you, at I think 25% capacity, we said, we got to go. So we went to 2 games out there, one where they lost, but they had a massive comeback in the 8th and 9th innings. And then we were actually there when they made history, and they scored 11 runs in the first inning. And it was one of those things where we walked in and we didn't move for the entire inning because we thought there was something special about where we were standing. But it's been incredible to watch the Dodgers come back from being down 3-1. They took game 1. They lost last night, but we do have Lexington native Walker Buehler on the mound tomorrow for game 3. So maybe everything will collide there, as we've got the horse racing tie too. He's actually part owner of Authentic, funnily enough.
Bueller.
Wow.
Yes. Looking forward to that. Mark, what have you got for us to drink tonight?
We've got some fun cocktails. We're going to be making a classic variation, I guess, on a sidecar, but we're going to be talking about the history surrounding this amazing drink that is so recognizable because of the way that it looks, including that signature sugar rim. We're going to get into that. We're going to talk about the history leading up to that cocktail. And we've got a brand new one that I came up with specifically for this show with Tito's and some pear and port wine. So a lot of fun stuff. Like Brittany said, this is going to be a marathon episode. A lot of great stuff to get to. So I'm super excited.
About 14 episodes since we've had the sugar rim, so it'll be great.
It's the return.
We're going to keep things intact tonight. Who's on tap for us, Nick?
Amazing guests tonight. 2 of the most charismatic riders in the US Jocks Room. One young, one a bit more established in his career. One hugely successful at Breeders' Cups, another with a great book this year. Florent Geroux and Tyler Gaffalione. So really looking forward to catching up with both of them. And in a few moments' time, we're going to be speaking to the man who is taking horse racing forward into the next generation with his technological advances, including the jockey cam that's worked so brilliantly at Keeneland and elsewhere in the last few weeks. And we'll see again at the Breeders' Cup, Britt.
Looking forward to it. Now fill us in on the latest coming from England. What does it look like in terms of, the Europeans coming over for the Breeders' Cup? I know it's been an unfortunate couple of weeks in terms of retirements. Just give us the latest.
Okay, so where shall I start? Shall I start with the COVID situation? Because it in fairness, it's not looking great here. It looks like we're getting well into the second wave now, and there are various restrictions which aren't quite a lockdown, but in various parts of the country are approaching it. It shouldn't have any impact on the travel to the Breeders' Cup insofar as we know. Obviously, all the horses are biosecure anyway. The visitors, they have to quarantine anyway, so there's not going to be too much difference there. As regards backstretch personnel, it's very hard for people to get into the quarantine area as things stand in a normal year. So I think it'll just be even tighter, and temperatures will be taken and COVID tests will be done before we leave and when we arrive, anyone who's coming from the UK. So that's the deal there. I don't think it's massively impinged on anybody not coming. And quantity wise, it's actually starting to look up again. It's always the way. You get excited because you think horses like Love might come. There was a tiny sniff that Enable might come back, but I didn't really believe it. Sots might have come, whatever. So you get all a bit excited about that. And then you get a few big names go by the wayside. It's just the way every season goes. And then you get a whole bunch of new horses come in from left field that you weren't anticipating turning up at the Breeders' Cup, like today Gosden said Lord North and Medea, and James Fanchell's going to have his first runner with Audaria. So yeah, there's lots of interesting runners. It's going to be hard, I think, for the Europeans this year, but I not insurmountable. And I'd be happy if we came home with just a winner, to be honest.
I have to say, I might be most excited for Battleground to come over. It just seems quite fitting, being the first foal out of Found, who won the Breeders' Cup Turf in 2015, upsetting Golden Horn. Was that an upset, though, in your opinion? Because I think a lot of people were rooting her home.
Oh, that day was tough for Golden Horn because he didn't really like soft ground, and it had rained all week, and he got down on that inside strip that was slower because of the way the track drains down to the inside. And then Found was just brilliantly ridden by Ryan Moore. He knew he only had one horse to beat, and he just had the tough on Frankie's back, and away she went. She was so tough. Like a lot of these really tough race mares that race a lot, I don't think she's been like the most straightforward in terms of getting her in foal and having foals and all that sort of stuff. So I think he's a really important horse for the Battleground, by Warfront, out of Found. And it's great that he's coming. I'm not sure he's physically necessarily the perfect type for the race, because he's quite a big, heavy horse, but he's very talented, and it's exciting that he's there. Now, listen, Brittany, I didn't. One thing I never really anticipated during the course of this show was that I'd be sharing the screen with a cover girl. But as I leaf through, I'm a massive fan. I don't know if any of you are. But I'm an avid reader of Ek Love.
Oh no, really?
Wow.
Magazine, and we can put it up on the screen. But look, I've actually got it here. I actually printed out the whole thing.
Look at that.
Yeah, just for my private collection. And
looking great, Brittany.
Brit, it's fantastic.
Awesome.
But it's not my favorite picture in the magazine. My favorite one, I think, is this little number here. Because you see this kind of scene a lot at the racetrack, particularly at Santa Anita. And there we are, a leopard print, animal print trouser suit, and that.
I haven't even seen that photo.
No, I think you'll agree. This horse seems to like Brittany a lot.
Yeah, he definitely does.
No, wait. So that is Stone. He's a retired racehorse that is Aidan Butler's, and he resides at Santa Anita and fully lives the life. But I have to say, he still has that vigor and energy in him that a thoroughbred athlete would have. And let's just say I haven't had a ton of experience handling horses not in a stall. So it was a very interesting experience. Let's say that he showed me who was boss, and it was not.
And the cameras were right there for the moment. So,
so the good news is, and I've just heard from our friends at Breeders' Cup, that's being superimposed and it is going right up on the grandstand at Keeneland for Breeders' Cup. So, when's your next shoot?
Did you have fun with that? Did you enjoy this last 2 minutes?
I read every word of it as well.
One of these days, we're going to get Nick in a leopard print suit too, and we'll see what happens.
Hey, listen, we've had a few questions, and we're going to get to Nathan Horrocks very shortly. But just quickly, because there's a few questions about the Euro horses coming in. Julie Ingle says, "Love Kamiko." I think he's going to be he's going to go off favourite in the Breeders' Cup Mile. I'm pretty sure. The horse who won the 2,000 guineas this year had a bit of a luckless campaign after that, but was back on track last time for Sheikh Farhad, and we think Asheen Murphy, if he's okay to ride the horse. Latest news on Maxfield. He is cantering. He's back in training, which is good news.
Wonderful news. He is. I honestly think that Godolphin might have another good runner with essential quality this year in the juvenile, but it was unfortunate last year. Maxfield scratching a couple days before, but it's so great to see him back at the track. I know they don't have a race pointed for him. They're really taking their time with him, but he was a fan favorite early on in his career. So I can only see a bigger, better, stronger Maxfield whenever he gets back racing.
Should we bring on our first guest?
Yes, please, because I love the innovation that we've seen in the sport, because we need it, right? We got to move forward with the times.
He's from my homeland. He's a Brit abroad, but he is now based in the United States because he married his lovely wife. Was it last year, Nath?
It was last year. Yes. Just coming up for our anniversary.
And the Jockey Cam has brought you great things, because not only is it taking you all around the world, it also that's how you guys met, because you were in Churchill Downs at Breeders' Cup 2 years ago, just by chance.
all just by chance. It's all down to the Breeders' Cup. Yeah, it was amazing, really. After Churchill Downs, went out for a beer, as you do, after the after party, and yeah, bumped into my wife, and it's been fantastic ever since. And we're now based here in the US, which is great. We're based up in California, but it's great to be here in Lexington, and looking forward to the 2020 Breeders' Cup.
So how long have you been down in Keeneland this time?
I've been here for around about 3 weeks. We've been setting up Jockey Cam, as you may know, Nick, and some of the fans don't know. There's a lot of prep that goes into to gearing up Jockey Cam. It's not a case of just putting the camera on the rider. We've got to we've got to get all the live setup ready. So it's antennas all around the track. It's over 1,000 meters of cable to put into the track and the infrastructure and stuff like that. And we've been testing over the last couple of weeks and making sure everything's working. So we're good to go for the Breeders' Cup.
I've seen some incredible video, because TVG's been taking some of it as well to showcase, down at Keeneland and prepping everybody for the excitement that is the Breeders' Cup. I have to say, how are the jockeys to work with in terms of, hey, will you wear the jockey cam? Are they pretty easygoing, or does it take a little bit of pulling their leg?
They're the nicest bunch of people you could ever meet, and I'm not just saying that because I'm in the change room, but I think what it is, because I'm from that world and they understand that I'm an ex-rider, a few stone ago now, but because they know I'm from that world, they know I'm not there to put them in any danger, as in regards to what they're wearing, but also what people are seeing, because it's important that the fans out there understand what these human and equine athletes are going through out there. And we can relate to other sports, which is great. We can relate to driving cars, playing golf, football, but it's very, very hard unless you've done it to understand what these human and equine athletes are going through. So to put the audience in the right seat for a change is great for the racing fans to see.
Mm-hmm.
I think we're going to have a look at some jockey cam now. To my eye, Nathan, I've been working with you for, I don't know, probably 7, 8, 9 years now, since you first started pioneering this. The picture quality is getting better and better all the time. And now you've got the capacity to go live in a race as well. If the director feels brave enough, you've opened up all sorts of new avenues.
No, massively, no, and that's what we're always trying to do. We're always trying to push the envelope in this sort of stuff, and eventually we're going to start putting some more tech inside the cameras. Regards to accelerometers and things like that, so we can actually measure certain things. Especially for the jump guys back at home, and some of these guys, they do have a fall every now and again. Thankfully not as often as they do on the flat, but what we want to do is we want to try and give the guys as much data as possible. And what's great about this is, like you say, like you said earlier, Nick, it's great. The fans can actually see what these guys are getting up to, and technology is moving faster all the time. So this stuff can only get better. I mean, you just saw that shot there of that horse coming across the rider there. I mean, how many times have we all shouted at a jockey going, "What was he doing on that thing?" And that's exactly what we're seeing now. Is we're seeing exactly what these guys are seeing, and when we're showing how hard it is out there to make these split-second decisions.
Well, thank you to our friends at Lexus for making this possible. And Nathan, we're looking at a bunch of different angles here, right? So what kind of, when you have the jockey cam put together, how many different angles can you actually get of the race as it's unfolding?
Well, only just recently, Brittany, we've been wanting to bring in the reverse camera for quite some time. Last year we had some issues, obviously, with the dirt. Obviously over here there's a lot of dirt racing, and as you all know, the guys go out there with like 7 or 8 pairs of goggles, to keep the dirt out their eyes and stuff. So what we wanted to do was we want to try and give that reverse angle, because we know sometimes that forward-facing camera is going to get full of dirt. So we wanted to show what was going on behind and give the fans something to see, during that race. So what we're trying to do is we're trying to just give the director or, the fans at home, two angles to see. And, you never know as time moves on, technology is moving ever so quickly, and the 360 technology is getting quicker and smaller. So maybe one day we'll come out with some 360 technology out there while these guys are riding around in the race.
So how many jockeys for the 2 days of Breeders' Cup will be wearing these cameras?
So ideally, what we'd like to do is we'd like to give give each race 2 riders. You haven't gone through who those riders are going to be yet, but as all those horses start getting confirmed, and so do the riders, and I'm talking to the riders themselves and the agents and things like that. So I'm just confirming who that's going to be. But we'd like to do 2 riders per race, and if we could do that, people can log on Facebook, YouTube, and see these and see these riders doing what they do, and it's great to have another horsepower partner in Lexus, joining us on this journey, and it's great that we can show the fans what these guys are getting up to.
I still think, Nathan, that the jockey cam has generated the best single piece of television I've been involved with in horse racing, which is when round the Grand National course, maybe 5 or 6 years ago, jockey Aidan Coleman, his horse refused, and he went straight into the fence, straight into the spruce, and you get the clip of him in the spruce looking up at the sky, horses jumping over the top of him asking if it's safe to come out, eventually getting out, and then going and catching his own loose horse. And you hear all the audio. It's just sensational.
That's
it shows everything about the sport, about the danger, the camaraderie, the everything. It's just what a wonderful film. If you can get it on YouTube, can't you?
Yeah, you can, and on Twitter. Yeah, if you just type in jockey cam Aidan Coleman, you'll find that clip pretty much anywhere now. I mean, I've been showing a few of the boys here in the US changing rooms, and they couldn't believe what happened. And we were so lucky. That was like the first time we ever used jockey cam. So, I mean, it just goes to show you that the fact that you put a tool out there, it will capture something, eventually. And that was one of the key moments, like you said, Nick. And what was a big driver for me was wanting to show the fans what these jockeys are seeing, but also the love and affection that these guys have for the horses. We only ever see the race really, but I often see these clips before and after the race, and how these guys are communicating with their athlete, equine athletes. And what was great about that was when Aidan Coleman went up to catch his horse and apologized for the horse and falling off him, and that's what's key about this sport. We need to show how much we love these thoroughbreds.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the connection between horse and rider, and we'll talk with 2 riders in just a bit that have had, a fond connection with many of their mounts. So I love that we get to see that too. This was one great question before we bring in our 2 riders in a bit. How much weight does the jockey cam add to the jockey? Fair question.
Yeah, no, it's a great question, Brittany, because when we were developing the cam, we wanted obviously had to be as light as possible for these guys because they're always fighting their weight. So it was a real test to get this thing as small as possible. So the actual weight of the whole camera and the transmitter together is just less than half a pound. So I'm often saying to the guys, if you're doing a real low weight, I won't even approach them. But the great thing is that these guys weigh out with the device, so they're carrying exactly the same weight as they would be if they were wearing the camera or not wearing the camera. And it's great that we, the guys that we're working with in the change rooms, the valets and the clerk of scales is making sure that all goes smoothly.
That's great.
A couple of your old pals checking in here, Nathan. Tom Garner, was he champion steeplechase rider in the US now?
Wouldn't be hard, really. Wouldn't be hard, would it, Nick? Really, champion steeplechase rider in the US nowadays?
Yeah.
I mean, but it's great that Tom's out here doing great, and it's great to see some of the guys from Europe and out here for the Breeders' Cup as well. So we're going to be looking forward to giving the fans at home some great action.
Well, I'm sure.
Perfect year for it too, with everybody watching from home and unable to be there. So I love that you're giving them this unique perspective, what it's like to be in a race, because obviously there are very few that are talented enough and at the right size to be aboard these horses. So it's a unique perspective for many people.
No, it's great, guys, and like I say, thanks for having me on, and looking forward to giving you some more great footage going forward. And 2 of the riders that you just got coming on now have been absolutely brilliant with us, and we've got to capture some great stuff with those guys.
Nathan, can't wait to touch down and see you at a respectable social distance.
Yeah, see you in Lexington.
Thanks, guys.
Take care, Nathan Horrocks from Equine Productions, the people who bring you Jockey Cam now, and are going to enhance our coverage on NBC and TVG of the Breeders' Cup this year. Just 15 nights until Breeders' Cup 2020. We thought it would never come.
Can't believe it.
I won't believe it till the traps open. We will. Good evening, Tyler Gafflione. How are
How's it
you?
going, guys?
Hey, Tyler. How's it going?
Tyler, you're a busy guy. Thanks for fitting us in. I know you rode earlier today, and now you're joining us. How much are you looking forward to the Breeders' Cup at Keeneland this year?
First off, thanks for having me on, but I'm really excited. It's been a great year. Unfortunately, with the pandemic going on, a lot's been on halt, but thankfully racing's been going, and it's been a good year. We got a lot of live horses coming into the Breeders' Cup, so we're real excited.
Well, Tyler, for you and for those that may not know your background, it was in your blood to be a rider. Just give us a little bit of growing up in the sport with your father and grandfather being jockeys, and just that moment that you knew you wanted to kind of follow in their footsteps.
Like you said, growing up around horses, my father was a jockey, my grandfather was a jockey, my cousin Terry Howden's a jockey. So, like you said, it's in my blood. But I fell in love with horses at such a young age. I think I had my first horse when I was 2. We had a farm in Ocala. We had a farm in Davie, South Florida. So always around horses and just had a deep passion for them at a young age.
Did they encourage it?
Excuse me?
Did they encourage it?
Not necessarily. They kind of let me make my own decisions. I was into sports. I was always very active. I played baseball, soccer, football. So I just kind of fell in line.
Yeah.
And did you find, you were Eclipse Award winner 5 years ago for Apprentice Rider, Tyler, and your career has had an incredible trajectory, very steep and like consistent success. Did you feel straight away as soon as you started riding racehorses that this was for you? Did you just feel a natural affinity when you got aboard one?
Actually, it's funny. I feel more comfortable on horses than I do on the ground. I'm a kind of awkward person. I'm a little shy, so I actually feel more comfortable on horses.
Is that why do you think that is?
I don't know. I feel like they get me, and I understand them. It's an unspoken language, like a bond, and I've always cared about them. And they are my world. So.
How do you think that helps, though, in a race, too? We were talking about the bonds between horse and rider. Do you think having that connection with them, this unspoken bond that you mentioned, just helps within a race and helps you as a rider?
Absolutely. Watching races, you can see horses, when they relax early on, they finish much better. It's all about getting along with them. They're 1,000-pound animals. We're not going to be able to outpower them or outmuscle them, so we just have to kind of outthink them and play little games with them.
Is there any horse for you in particular, and I'm sure we could name a few, but that you felt that incredible bond with that maybe just surpassed the rest?
Absolutely. Off the top of my head, there was a horse that I rode a few years ago, Taglib, for Mike Maker. Zulu Alpha, Got Stormy, War Will. I've been around them for a few years now, and I've ridden them numerous times. So I've developed a pretty decent relationship with them. So we have a good understanding of each other.
Everybody needs that horse that they become so associated with them that it kind of moves their career forward significantly. Who do you think that's been so far?
I would have to say War Will. He kind of put me on the national level with the Preakness Stakes and just the whole Triple Crown series. And he's an incredible horse. So anything attached to him makes it look better.
His agility is what we should praise, really, when looking at the Kentucky Derby. We had Mark Cassidy on here to talk about that race and, of course, the redemption in the Preakness. From your perspective, as we take a look at his Preakness victory, how was he able to stay up and avoid that incident? And what was going through your head as that was happening?
It all happened so fast. I didn't really have time to react. I'm just thankful the horse kind of saved both of us. He's an incredible athlete, and so agile, and he saved everybody that day. So
coming back 2 weeks later, and this happens. How would you describe this moment?
I can never put it into words. Every time I watch it, I get choked up. I have chills right now. It's pretty amazing. I never thought I'd be on that stage.
Was it more the fact that it was a Triple Crown race in and of itself, or was it more the fact that it came just 2 weeks after all that extraordinary drama in the Kentucky Derby?
A little bit of both. Growing up, everybody wants to win a Triple Crown race, but for me at that time, it was a little difficult because there was a lot of scrutiny against me. A lot of negative press saying how I made a few mistakes in the race, but just tried not to let it get to me. And then when we crossed the wire in the Preakness, all my emotions came out, and it was pretty special.
And all that hate went away.
Just disappeared.
It's very fleeting. You seem like every time I've seen you, you have a massive smile on your face. How do you keep that, positive mentality? Because we all know that, people have their opinions, and especially so for jockeys. So how do you keep above it all?
I have a great support team around me. My girlfriend, Cassie, she goes with me everywhere. I never have to worry about anything. She kind of handles it all for me. So it's great having her. My agent is amazing. He's like a father to me. He's kind of taken me under his wing and really showed me a lot. Just great friends and family. And my dad taught me a lot growing up. Him being involved in the business, I was able to learn from his mistakes, and had a good understanding of how this industry works. So I was well prepared.
Your dad rode, and as Brittany said, your grandpa rode as well, Steve and Bobby. How much of their careers were you sort of aware of before you really kind of got going? How much were you a part of that?
Not much at all, to be honest. My father actually retired in '95. He went down in a spill at Delaware and broke his neck and back, and just never really fully recovered from that. And my grandfather, I believe his last race was in 1984. So both retired before I was born.
Yeah, I just make us feel extremely old now.
And so much success so early on. I thought this was a great question by Paul Bergeron. Do jockeys really pay a lot of attention to the press? You're on social media. I mean, how much attention do you pay to it?
It's hard to ignore it. It's everywhere, but you just take the good with the bad. You can't take it too personal. Everybody has an opinion, and everybody's entitled to it. So you just go with it. And in all honesty, I mean, you can learn from some people. I mean, sometimes they are right. You did make a mistake.
And when you were starting out, were there jockeys that you looked at and thought, yeah, I want to do it his way or her way? Were there jockeys that you really aspired to, either because you thought they were really good or just because you liked the way they were as people?
Both. A ton of people from early on in my career. Edgar Prado was huge in the beginning stages. Taught me a lot about understanding the horse, the pace of the race, development in the race, and he was huge for me. But I idolized Johnny V, Javier. I got to sit next to them at Gulfstream, so I was able to learn from them. Julian was a huge help, and the Ortiz brothers are great kids and so competitive and fun to ride with. So talented as well. So just being able to ride with those guys has been a privilege.
You made Gulfstream Park your personal playing ground. You really have in the past. And you mentioned Edgar Prado. So what was it like for you, riding against somebody that you admired so much and also having so much success in Florida where you grew up?
It was incredible. Retaining to Edgar Prado, at first it was a little intimidating riding with him just because I put him up on a pedestal, with the Derby victories and all the Breeders' Cups and all the success. And so I just didn't want to embarrass myself. Anytime I had him watch me, I'd just make sure it was a good race and I rode a decent race. But I'm sorry, what was the second question?
Well, no, because you had, 7 wins in one day at Gulfstream Park?
Yes, ma'am.
7? And that tied Jerry Bailey for the record, correct?
Yes, ma'am. And I believe Luis Saez has done it twice since then, and Paco Lopez once.
But that's an incredible feat.
Yeah,
when you look back on accomplishments like that and you're so young, I mean, what do you think?
It's incredible, huh? I don't take any of it for granted. I'm just so blessed to be able to do what I do every day. It's not really working, it's actually a lot of fun.
You can tell you enjoy it.
So you've been Eclipse Award winner. You've won a classic. You won the Preakness. You've won a glut of big races. You won 7 races in a day. Just to complete this now, you need the elusive Breeders' Cup victory. What chance in 2020, Tyler?
I hope this is a year. I've been saying it for a couple of years because Keeneland has been my first track since I can remember. So I want to be truly a dream come true.
Who are you looking forward to riding most? I think our connection was dropping out just a touch if you happen to say it.
The one I'm looking forward to most, I would say, got Stormy on the cutback. She ran very well her past 2 races in sprinting, and she got some turn of foot, so I'm excited for her.
It's remarkable what she's been able to do. 2nd in the Breeders' Cup Mile last year, and then now she's found this entirely new dimension. I mean, you know her so well. Did you feel anything different in her? I mean, because you surely never gave up, and neither did the trainer and owner when she wasn't quite getting over that hump of the victory again.
You know, she just had a slow start to the year. She had a tough campaign last year, and she danced every dance. She showed up every time. So, I mean, coming back this year, we knew she was going to need a little bit of time to get back to her form, but Mark and his team do a great job. They know her inside and out, and they get along with her great. So he had a ton of confidence cutting her back when she ran at Kentucky Downs, and I mean, her last race, she really blossomed. So I think they got her figured out.
She's so easy to root for.
Could you have ever anticipated, say, a year ago, that this would be the route that she'd go down?
Oh, not even a chance. I thought for sure after the Breeders' Cup last year, I called Mark and I said, "Don't worry, we'll get it next year." But I mean, we'll take the sprint.
And do you think it's because do you think it's her class that's doing it? Because but it's like because the horses who run a mile tend to be a little bit classier than the shorter distance horses on the turf anyway, not necessarily the main track.
The thing with her too was we always were reaching at the mile. It was the absolute furthest we thought she could go, and that was the problem because she's got such a strong kick, but it only lasts about 1/8 of a mile. So that last little bit, she starts coming back to you.
She makes it thrilling, that's for sure. Well, why don't we, if you're up for it, Tyler, you want to stick around as Mark takes us into our first cocktail of the evening, and then maybe we could talk to you a little bit about that jockey cam that you've been wearing at Keeneland.
Sounds good. I feel bad. I can't communicate with you more, Tyler. I don't know too much about horse racing. Nick and Brittany have been teaching me, but this is kind of more my forte is the drink stuff here. So
I mean, I'd like to think you'd have learned something by now.
I am learning, but I don't have the confidence yet to really jump in and ask questions. So
there are degree courses that are less.
That's true. I should have more confidence. I have to work my way up to it. But guys, we are going to start off with one of my favorite cocktails tonight, and it truly is one of the most recognizable classic cocktails, which is the Sidecar. So the Sidecar came about just at the end of World War I, either, depending on who you ask, in Paris or in London. So because we have Nick here, we're going to go Team London tonight. But it's a very simple combination of cognac, lemon juice, and Cointreau. And over a certain period of time, it also gained the optional garnish of a sugar rim. So I did say that, Nick. Try to behave yourself tonight, not just you. I'm going to try to behave myself as well. But this drink first popped up in a pretty famous cocktail book, which was Harry's ABCs of Making Cocktails, which was written by Harry McElhone of Harry's New York Bar in Paris fame. And it is, like I said, a true classic in and of its own right. But what's pretty surprising is that it's also pretty much an evolutionary link to an even older cocktail called the Brandy Crusta. So the Brandy Crusta actually was printed in Jerry Thomas's 1862 book, The Bartender's Guide. So I'm going to show you a picture of Jerry Thomas, who I've spoken of before. This guy was known as Professor Thomas. He was the first person to actually take all of the different cocktails that were being spread by word of mouth in the United States in the mid-19th century, and he put them into writing. He was the first person to do that. And he did that in this book, The Bartender's Guide, in 1862. And again, this was really a very influential piece of literature in the world of mixology. So in that book,
production value.
I'm trying. What I lack in horse racing knowledge, try to make up for. So in this book, you've got a recipe for the Brandy Crusta. It does still contain brandy, which of course cognac in the Sidecar is a type of brandy. It does contain lemon juice as well as an orange liqueur, and it does have a beautiful sugar rim. So you can definitely see that sort of evolutionary tie to what would become the Sidecar. That being said, the Sidecar is a little bit more concise. The Brandy Crusta has a few other ingredients, so it's a really good distillation of the same sort of concept. So tonight we're going to be making not just a sidecar, but we're going to be making a bourbon variation on a sidecar with a little bit of a fall theme to it. I'm going to show you how we're going to do that. So even to try to take this up a little bit more, we're going to switch screens here again.
Oh,
and
I mean, 25.
By the way, I just want to say, while Mark is making this cocktail, make sure you listen to Mark. But while you're listening to Mark, if you're not making the cocktail, just take 1 minute, because when he shakes, I want to read out all at the moment, the horse that you like best for any Breeders' Cup race. Pile in now, and we'll read
Fantastic.
We'll read them all when the
that's
cocktail.
Great.
Sure.
That's great, Nick, because this cocktail actually does need a pretty hard shake for a good period of time, because it does benefit from some extra dilution. So we're going to start off. This is my own little addition to the sidecar. It doesn't typically call for bitters, but you guys know I love my bitters, and I love Fee Brothers whiskey barrel aged aromatic bitters because they have a really pronounced cinnamon flavor to them. So when I want to add kind of a fall, warm, as I've said before, autumnal spice note to cocktails, this is a great way of doing it with just a couple dashes. So I'm going to start with 2 dashes of the Fee Brothers whiskey barrel aged aromatic bitters directly into our cocktail tin here.
I still watch Mark's face, not like what you're making.
I figure for those people that are following along, it could be helpful, but I kind of find myself following the left screen too.
I'm just fixated on your hands.
I'm going to move straight past that one. We've got lemon juice. Of course, always freshly squeezed citrus juices. They will oxidize over time. You've heard me say this many times. We want our juices to be as fresh as possible. So here we are going to do 3/4 of an ounce of lemon juice into our tin. And then we're going to follow that with Cointreau. So when we get to our second cocktail tonight, I actually want to take a pretty in-depth look at this bottle and some of the history of triple sec, the history of orange liqueurs in general. But I think I've gone on enough about some historical notes here, so we're going to save that for that second cocktail, something to look forward to. So we're going to balance this out with 1 ounce of Cointreau. And then after that, we're going to add our bourbon. So again, this is a fun thing that you can do. Once you learn some classic ratios, try substituting things. Whether it's a little bourbon instead of cognac. You've seen me do it multiple times with different types of sweeteners. Maybe in a whiskey sour, I'll add maple syrup instead of regular simple syrup. So I'm a big advocate in learning the classics and then improvising with those classical structures. All right, so now the good stuff here, we're going to add 2 ounces of Maker's Mark bourbon. A little bit of the flourish that we spoke of before. And now
the flourish.
The flourish.
Mm-hmm.
So before we shake the cocktail, I actually want to get this out of the way. We do want to do our sugar rim here. I showed you how to do this back with the lemon drop martini. We're going to take a lemon piece here and just rub that around the side of the glass and dip that into a bowl of sugar. So this is actually, I'm using a different style of glass. I'm going to give you an up-close look in a second. This is more of kind of like a Nick and Nora style glass.
Full glass.
It's a really nice glass, right? And this would be more traditional for the Brandy Crusta. So actually what they would do for that drink, it was a little bit of a production, but they would take the peel all the way around a lemon horizontally. So literally get the whole peel, and then they would kind of sort of fold it in on itself and put it inside a glass like this. So you would actually see the lemon kind of protruding up from the glass itself. So it's a beautiful presentation. But like I said, the sidecar is a little bit more simple in its production.
Mm-hmm.
So now I am going to add some ice, and Nick is going to take us through all of those different things. Yep.
We got a few.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, well, John Patrick says I should learn to mix drinks so I can take Mark's job.
Uh-oh. I'm doing something wrong.
You got to do better than that, John, because you've not seen a guy mix a cocktail like you're about to see. So,
ready?
Yeah.
Let's do it.
Alex is united in the Breeders' Cup turf. What do you think of that, Brittany?
I think we need to mute Mark so we can hear you.
You can't hear me.
No.
Do you like United in the turf?
There we go.
Yeah.
Yes, I love United in the turf.
Monomoy girl in the distaff, yay or nay?
Classic.
Mary Jane. And she says, and anywhere Swiss Skydiver lands. Which way is she going to go, Swiss Skydiver? It looks like the trainer wants to go classic and the owner wants to go the other way.
It looks distaff, but I push classic. Maximum security, authentic, got Stormy, got a lot of love for her. Tis the law.
Storm the court, says Rick James.
He's not running in the Breeders' Cup, but thanks for the love.
I think he just wanted. He's just trying to curry favor. Deborah Crash Deck. I've pronounced your name wrong, Deborah. I apologize. Maximum security. There's this theory doing the rounds that maximum security needed the run last time, and that was kind of the Improbable's race to win. But when it gets to the Breeders' Cup, he's going to work better up to the race, and the vibes are good. Do you get it or not?
Yes, I think so. I think he's going to bounce back. I think Improbable loves Santa Anita. Sorry, Mark. Should we stop? Should we stop?
Keep it going while I strain. Keep it going while I strain.
There's the law. Yes, that's the winner for me. Kamiko says Jeff Hall. Princess Noor says Joy. And she's got a great chance, hasn't she?
Yes, definitely. But you have 3 undefeated fillies going into the Breeders' Cup, juvenile fillies. So it reminds me a little bit of 2011 when you had 3 undefeated fillies in that race. Tyler, you keep an eye on a lot of these horses and all the different races or categories that we see. Is there any one horse that perhaps you don't have the mount on, but you really respect and enjoy watching?
I like that filly Princess Noor out in California. She's been ultra impressive her past 2 starts. So I'm excited to watch her down the road.
Full disclosure, my dad trained her mom, so I'm a massive fan.
She's a
little bit better than her mom, but hey, it's okay.
All right, guys. So this is our sidecar. I'm going to show you right here and up there. Beautiful sugar on the top there. We do have an orange peel as well. So bourbon variation with a fall twist as well. And that is all in ode to that beautiful classic, the Sidecar, which I never mentioned. The name itself, I don't know how much of this is storytelling, but they say that a patron rode up to that bar, wherever it was, whether it was Paris or London, in the sidecar of a motorcycle, and then came up and ordered this drink. It sounds a little far-fetched to me, but there are a lot of accounts for that. So either way, the name definitely stuck. So,
I love it. I love the look of that. Fantastic. Just show. Let's have a look at that rim again.
Yep.
Good.
Sugary rim.
There we go.
Cheers, guys.
I want to give a big shout out to my Aunt Marianne who's watching right now. Thanks for tuning in. I've got a couple of questions for Tyler that came in from Twitter. So can I roll into that quickly?
Yeah.
So Chance asks, did you ever used to go to Roundup honky tonk while growing up in Davie?
I'm sorry, you were breaking up. Can you repeat that?
Roundup, it's a honky tonk in Davie, and then your favorite restaurants in South Florida.
Ooh, I've actually never been to Roundup. All my friends used to go, but clubs aren't my thing. But restaurants, ooh, that's tough. I love Senor Iguanas. It's right across the street from Hollandale from the racetrack. Really good Spanish Cuban place. Man, I'm drawing a blank right now. There's so many good.
Are you a foodie? When you can, do you enjoy going out and trying different foods and such?
Absolutely. We love food.
I'm assuming Cassie's right next to you.
She's in the other room, but yeah.
Tell her hello. One more I got in that I thought was a great question. Paul Bergeron says, can you talk about the unique qualities of Kentucky Downs and your favorite dining spot in Lexington? People are coming to you for the food spots.
Putting the pressure on me. But Kentucky Downs is so incredible. It's like nothing else you've ever seen here in the States. You got left turns, sharp right turns, uphill, downhill. It's very unique, the layout of it. But it's a lot of fun. You know, it's like a backyard meet. Everybody goes there. They bring their lawn chairs. The fans are all fun. And they run for incredible money. So it's great racing all around.
Do you remember riding it for the first time? How challenging was that?
It was a little intimidating, especially the downhill going into the final turn. They can really catch some momentum going into that turn. A few of them don't like the corner. So that was the biggest challenge. But, I mean, now I can't wait to go back.
Breeders' Cup at Kentucky Downs, anyone?
That'd be awesome.
What do you think, Brett?
Hey, I've never been, so I can't really comment, but sure, why not?
We'd have to build a dirt course, though.
Just run all the races on turf.
Well, Nick, everybody loves to use the word undulating, and that's how you would describe the Kentucky Downs race course. So, I mean, you could have a drinking game just with the word undulating.
Okay.
I definitely think so. We're going to start working on that.
Wayne has helpfully said no dirt. Yeah, I did know that, Wayne. I've never been to Kentucky Downs, but I did. I did.
Check it out.
Have you not been either, Britt?
No, never.
You guys definitely have to go.
I mean, it's such a short meet that I haven't gotten out there, but I hear it's great, and I heard they've put a lot of money into it. Are they kind of redoing it?
Yeah, and they're building onto it. They're supposed to make they're supposed to build a grandstand within the next 2 years, and then I think they have like a casino or something that they're adding on to.
It's great. We'll have to go. Nick, add it to the list.
Yep.
Before Australia, because I know that's on the list for you and I.
Well, maybe you can get in touch with your peeps at EQ Lux, and they can do another photo shoot for you there.
Australian Outback photo shoot.
This is gonna live out there for a while. So anyway, back to Tyler.
No, not yet. If you'd like the full.
Stop it.
If you'd like the full 44-page interview with Brittany, I would thoroughly recommend this magazine. It's very lush, I have to say. It's a beautiful.
Yeah, it's wonderful. But can we open it, because there's so many other women in racing, and that's why
there are. I'll read them all out because they're all on the cover here. Nicole Walker, Christina Blacker, Acacia Courtney, Gabby Gadet, Naomi Tucker, Hannah Bloom, Midnight Bizu, and Chantal Sutherland. So some extremely important women in racing, but none more important than the one on the cover. And if you want to read all 57 pages of the interview with Brittany, I would recommend this, EQLux.com to pre-order. And some of the proceeds go to the TAA, Thoroughbred Aftercare of America, as well. So there is no, I promise you, it's a really glossy, lush.
Yeah, you're the best. Anyway,
you could just.
The highlight there is that proceeds go to. So let's highlight that.
I get 3 mentions as well in the article,
are you done?
Which I was rather chuffed about. I skim read it and just looked for my name, but yeah, it was nice.
Oh, I mentioned you? Oh, yeah, I think I did mention you. Yeah, wonderful. Great. Anyways, back to Tyler here. We were speaking with Nathan earlier with the Jockey Cam presented by Lexus this year at Keeneland. You've had the opportunity to wear it. For those of us that don't really know what it's like, what kind of vantage point do you think it gives to viewers at home? And why do you think it's a good addition to the broadcast that we're bringing people?
I think it's great because watching the races, you only get to see what they show. But when the riders have the jockey cam, you kind of see what's going on within the race. From the pan shot, you don't get to see all the movement, the little things that make the difference. But with the jockey cams, it gives viewers at home the opportunity to see what's going on and how the decisions are made.
This is a wild thought. Do you think stewards could use it during inquiries?
Yeah. I'm sure they could. The only thing is there's a lot of movement. The riders looking around, they're always moving when they're riding, so I don't know how straight the lines would be.
Yeah, it might give you a slightly distorted impression of, because if your head's moving around a lot, the horse isn't necessarily
moving.
I think it's fantastic. I think where it's really come on massively, and I was going to mention it to Nathan earlier, is that since they added audio as well, and you can hear what the jockeys are saying, you can hear the surround sound. I just think that really has. Because I always think if you go to the racetrack and you get right down by the rail and you actually hear the shouting and the noise of the hooves and the leather and whatever, it's just a completely different experience from watching high up in the grandstand, isn't it?
Oh, absolutely. I've been a big fan of the jockey cam since they first came out, and I'm thrilled to be able to wear them now.
Now, we're just getting word from our producer that you also did a 360 tour of the Keeneland dirt course today.
Yes.
Tell us a little bit about that.
So I worked with Nathan this morning. They set up a 360 camera on my workmate, and he basically filmed everything while I explained the layout of the course and how riders ride the track. It was pretty cool.
Can you give us a little insight now?
What's that?
Can you give us a little insight now how to ride the course?
Safe
For
ground.
jockeys.
Especially on the turf, you got to save ground, and it's a long stretch, so patience is a virtue there.
So this was at Keeneland this morning, yeah?
Yes, sir.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, I guess they're going to be showing it during Breeders' Cup, so I got to see a little preview of it today. It turned out pretty well.
Awesome.
I love it. That's great. Well, we wish you nothing but success at the Breeders' Cup. But I just want to get a little insight to who Tyler is outside of the rider. What do you enjoy doing? How was COVID spent when you couldn't, although Gulfstream kept riding, but what do you like? What do you enjoy? What are the hobbies?
I like to be on the water. Anything near water is fun for me. And fishing, boats. I like to play some golf. I'm not very good though. But we have 2 dogs and 2 horses of our own, so we spend a lot of time with them, and it kind of takes up most of our time.
Oh wow!
Tyler,
on property?
No, we're working on that. But we're here in Kentucky. They're stabled in Lexington at a friend of Cassie's farm, and we go out there once, twice a week to see them.
Nice.
Tyler, stay with us.
Yeah, you said you're a foodie. Do you cook as well? Do you do a little culinary stuff in the house?
When I have some time, it's hard during the week with riding. We don't get done until now, and it's a little late to cook. But Cassie, she's been working up a few recipes, and it's been going good. So hopefully I can learn a few from her.
Well, Cassie Edwards, the daughter of Bob Edwards, and they have E5 Racing rushing fall. How much is she looking forward to that? I don't know if she's going to jump on and say hi, but
they're so excited. It's bittersweet because she's going to be sold right after, but she's an incredible mare, and she's been so great to them. And, I've had the privilege of getting to know her a little bit, and she's pretty special.
She loves it there too, doesn't she?
And
that's got to be tough. That you mentioned horses being sold or going off into retirement. For you, the horses early on in your career that you rode quite a bit, and when they were retired, we know how difficult it is for the barn. Is it a tough moment for jockeys as well?
It really is, yeah. You don't think about it too much, but you start to miss seeing their names in the workout sheets or the entry box, and you miss the individual itself. Yeah. Like I said, horses, you develop a relationship with them, and just like people, you miss them.
Well, Jennifer says, "OMG, rushing full, bet with both hands." So good luck to her this year. Let's have a look. Julie says, either way, Vekoma in the sprint or the mile. Brittany, sprint or mile for Vekoma?
I think he goes sprint. That's my guess.
And she likes authentic in the classic. Why not? And there was a question earlier, Tyler. You mentioned how much you enjoy riding the turf. Would you say you prefer riding turf races to main track races?
Not necessarily, but I do enjoy it.
Why so?
I think it's a little more strategic. The holes are a little tighter. The acceleration the horses have a little more. But I don't know. It's challenging at times, but when you get it right, it's pretty rewarding.
And are you pretty happy with the riding circuit that you've got going at the moment, the way your year tends to play out, or do you have designs on moving anywhere particular full time? What would be your next move, do you think?
I'm pretty content with where we are right now. We do Florida in the winter, we do Kentucky in spring and fall, and Saratoga in the summer. I would like to try California one time, maybe a Del Mar for a meet, but
oh, you should. We got some great weather out here.
We've been talking about it the past few years, but haven't made the jump yet. But maybe next year.
I mean, I know Joel comes out during the winter. Flo has said before that he wants to come out during the winter. It's just, we're lucky here in Southern California because we don't get a ton of rain. So a lot of our turf races stay on, and I know how appealing that is for the East Coasters. And the Bing Crosby meet that they've got set now at Del Mar is so much fun. Just a really boutique meeting. Got a little bit of an old school flair. So if we can convince you to come, I know you will be well received on the West Coast.
I would love to. Just got to talk my agent into it.
You got it. Send me his number. I will talk with him.
All right. That sounds like a deal.
Tyler, thank you so much for spending some time with us. I know how crazy your work life is right now. So good luck in the Breeders' Cup. We'll be keeping an eye on you. And thank you again.
No, thank you so much, guys, for having me on. I had a good time.
Thanks, Tyler.
Take care. Cheers.
Tyler Gafflione, one of the brightest, I say young stars, but he's established himself so quickly as a sort of senior rider now, Brittany.
Mm-hmm. No, I'd say it's remarkable, but his dedication to his job and to these horses is what has made him excel so quickly. So we go from one young rider to another young, but like you said, more established rider who I believe is here with us.
He'll enjoy being young anyway, won't he?
Hi guys.
Hey, how's it going?
Hi, Florent. How are you?
So where are you at the moment? I know you're in Kentucky, but back home?
I'm home, yes.
So were you listening to Mr. Tyler Gaffalione earlier and all the things that he had to say about getting prepped for Breeders' Cup?
I did a little bit. I was driving most of the time, so I can't really listen to every single thing, but I listened to most of it.
For you and the success that you've had at the Breeders' Cup, 4 Breeders' Cup wins, including Gun Runner in the Classic and Monomoy Girl in the Distaff, how much do you look forward to these 2 days, regardless of which track they're at?
You cut me short. I got 5.
5? Well, our producer cut you short.
No, I'm excited, actually, especially it's home, this year. So I feel like we have a little bit of a home advantage, if that makes any sense. Mm-hmm. Sometimes, when it's on the West Coast, some guys who doesn't feel have the great chance, they don't feel to send their horses all the way to California with the shipping and everything. But if they are home, they are willing to take a chance, So.
And you won 2 races when the event was at Keeneland in 15, Mongolian Saturday, that amazing win and catch a glimpse. Do you just feel when you walk into Keeneland, Flo, do you just feel at one with the place?
Yeah, exactly. I'm very familiar, to the track. So I know where every single little thing, where I'm very aware of like when to move and stuff like that. It's my home track. So of course I know a little more,
Mm-hmm. Do you have a favorite track? You've traveled around the world. Would it be Keeneland?
Yeah, Keeneland is definitely I will say my favorite. It's where I feel like I'm always lucky over there, and I ride good horses, and it's always great racing, It's more quality over quantity, if it makes any sense. And we always have a great chances over there.
Mm-hmm. I know you don't want to give too many trade secrets away because you're a competitive guy, and you definitely don't want to give too many trade secrets away to me on behalf of any Europeans. But is there a secret to riding Keeneland? Tyler was talking about ground saving, but is there for you? Do you have little habits that you would?
It could be a little tricky. Those are very long turns. So like Tyler said, you hate to lose ground, a lot, especially in the first turn. But it's a long stretch, so you need to be patient too. If you ask the horse a little bit too soon, they can get very, they wander around a lot, at the end, or they just get tired, simply because the stretch, seems very long to them. When they're at the top of the stretch, you can't really see the end, you can't see the wire. So those horses, they get a little bit discouraged like that.
Interesting.
What has it been like? Because Keeneland is such one of the most beautiful racetracks to me, but it is smaller. Now, obviously, with the pandemic, we haven't had fans of the track, and unfortunately, the Breeders' Cup can't have spectators there either. What has it been like for you riding without the big group? Because when Keeneland is running during the fall and spring meets, it is jam-packed with fans. Is it different for you? Riding under these circumstances?
Yeah, it is definitely. It's what makes those places so magical, the fans. I was saying that, to some people earlier at the track. When you have the event, especially like, doesn't matter if it's Keeneland, Santa Anita, Del Mar, Churchill during Derby week, the fans are making it happen. It makes, those places, like I said, magic, and you feel the atmosphere, and the screaming and the cheering is what gets you going, for the horses and also for yourself. It's very similar to people, sports, like I would say right now, baseball or basketball. It's like playing in an empty, arena, empty stadium. It's not fun.
I think it's more challenging to really hype yourself up without that energy. Is that one of the little ones?
Yeah.
Well, you must introduce us.
They want to be on TV, I guess.
Hey, they could happily shadow me and Nick for a couple of days.
Where are you, Nick? Sleeping?
I'm back home here in London, Flo. So I'm hopefully, touch wood, coming out Sunday week. So for Sunday, the 1st of November.
Oh,
Fingers crossed.
Make sure you pass your COVID test.
Well, I was going to ask you about that. So I've got to pass my COVID test, and hopefully that's all okay. I mean, I spoke to you about 2 days after you COVID positive earlier in the year, and I think it was your birthday, wasn't it, or round about your birthday?
Yeah, that was round about my birthday.
Yeah, and but you sounded pretty good. I don't know if thereafter you felt rough, but you said you were kind of one of the lucky ones.
No, exactly. I mean, I think for most of us, we're not gonna feel anything. It's what the science says. But I felt pretty good. I just had a little bit. A day I was a little bit tired, and the only thing I noticed was like I lost the sense of smell, so I couldn't really smell anything for like a few days. But other than that, physically I felt great. But I did my 14 days quarantine home and didn't do anything. And when I was ready to go again, make another tested, and I get negative, and I was back to work.
Wow. We talked to Javier Castellano about this and the mental aspect of getting a COVID positive and then having to quarantine. Did you feel any of that, or was it okay to keep your mind busy as well?
No, I mean, you have to stay busy. I'm lucky. I have a pretty big house. And I was able to exercise. At home, and it was during the summertime. So I was able, to go, in my pool and stuff like that. But I was thinking earlier, when many people had to quarantine, especially during the pandemic. If you have a little small, apartment, stuff like this, must be pretty tough. You don't have much room to move on, and you need to keep your mind occupied. I think it's the most challenging part of all this. If you are not sick, of course.
Flo, you're one of a number of French jockeys who've added some real Gallic flair to the US riding scene over the last decade and a half or so. And there's Julien Leparoux, of course, as well, and Flavien Prat tearing it up on the West Coast as he has been for a couple of years. Was this just a coincidence that you all ended up coming from France to the States at different times and excelling and doing really well, or should we read anything into it?
No, there is other things, like you said. It's not really a coincidence. When we came, we all came for the same guy at the time. With Julien, we came to work for Patrick Biancon, very well known, trainer, especially what he accomplished, in France and in Hong Kong. Did extremely well, and he's a man who's known for not only training horses, but also is doing also great, with the apprentice and the younger jockey. He give those guys a chance, and actually most of the French, big name riders, in the 90s and 2000, they were all apprentices, to his stables. There was Eric Legris, William Mongil, Gérald Mosset, Olivier Pellier, Dominique Boeuf. Those guys are all they were all champion jockeys and all working for the same man. So this is not really coincidence. And when Julien first came, and when Patrick, starting to train here in the US, Julien was one of the first guy who came. Like he works for him, as an exercise rider. And when Patrick felt he was lucky, Julien took his license, and right away, I mean, he did something like many apprentices, was unheard of. He won 400 races, in 1 year. After 6 months apprentice, he was running Grade 1 races and was winning some of them. I mean, it was just crazy. There was not many apprentices at the time who went from leading jockey at Turfway Park, went on to Keeneland and become leading jockey over there. It's a big transition to go from Turfway Park to Keeneland and still be on top. And I guess that year, I think he won pretty much every meet. So,
what do you think was working? Was it a matter of just being introduced to the right people to get the mounts? Well, why do you think there was so much success that he had helping French jockeys and making their name in America?
I think Johan was more than ready. I think when he was apprentice, he was pretty much riding like a journeyman. He had tons of experience, in the morning, and carry on into the afternoon. I think he was super polished in the morning. When you breathe, for Patrick Bianco, and it's like almost like a race in the morning. The time needs to be perfect. Everything needs to be real good, and it's a very a perfectionist guy. He wants to make sure everything it's on place. Mm-hmm. And also he's a great teacher too. He look at you. He's not gonna tap you in the back and say, "Oh yeah, you rode a good race because you win." It's not like that. He's gonna say, "Listen, that was a mistake here. That you got lucky because the horse was much the best. But next time you need to do this and do that to make sure if you don't have 10 lengths to win, you're gonna be able to do great."
Was it? Sorry, go ahead, Nick.
No, I was just going to ask for you personally.
Yeah,
we've spoken about this a little bit. You are so well established now. You've won so many big races, but you were not an overnight sensation, were you? It didn't all fall into place, click into place straight away. You had to work pretty hard for it.
No, it was hard at the beginning because when I first came, like I said, I came here to work for Patrick Bianco, and then after only a few months or a few weeks, when I had my working visa, he got suspended. So my whole plan fall apart. So I had no plan. That was, should I go back in France and ride over there? But it took me a long time to have my visa and spend money on it. And I told everybody there I was leaving. So now there was no going back. I just stayed here, and luckily, I found some people who kind of help me. At the time, I was at Keeneland. I was working for Bobby Frankel, and I was working for him in the morning. And what his name, Rudolph, Brisset, who was at the time assistant for Bill Mott, told me, "Yeah, Flo, I'm going to Arlington Park. First time, for Bill Mott as assistant trainer. So if you go there, I can try to, help you out, and also, it should be a good circuit for you to start with." So I just went with him and never came back, really. I just stayed there, for many years and start doing good, and like a snowball effect, after that you just stay where you are comfortable and where you're winning.
You said you didn't want to go back to France. What was the attraction for you to not only coming to America but staying here?
Well, honestly, I really like everything about America's races. First, it's what kind of brought me here, and I did so much effort, to get my paperwork. It's not very easy to get a working visa, and it costs a lot of money. And I was able to get that. I just felt like it was my golden ticket. When I had it, I'm like, all right, just I went all for it, and I said, you know what, I'm here now, and I'm able to work and do what I love. Why not going full steam ahead and keep pushing?
And you became a U.S. citizen not too long ago, 2018?
You know what? 2000, yes, 18 or 17, I think. I remember exactly. I passed the test the day before the Pegasus.
Mm-hmm.
What sort of stuff did you have to answer in the test?
Oh, you know what? There was a lot of there was 10 questions, and you need 6 of them right. And I did 6 for 6, and they stopped.
Can you get sample questions of this?
Yeah, simple question like how many stars in the American flag? How many constitutions?
Would most American citizens actually pass that test?
You know what? Actually, they do, yeah. But it's very easy when you have to study, a few days before, and you keep reading the question, and answering to yourself, because the questions are there and the answers are there. So you keep reading and that. And if you ask me today, I'm not sure I passed the test, but I did pass it.
Do you have to? Is it a written test, or is someone directly asking you, and you have to provide it on the spot?
No, you have to provide it on the spot. It's right away.
Wow.
When they ask you a question, you need to answer.
Yeah,
That's
a little
And
bit
I
more
think there is
intense.
also a writing test too. They want to
Yeah.
say, write my house is near the lake, or something like that.
Right.
Just
So
a simple
is
phrase.
this the naturalization test? Is it?
I'm sorry?
Is this the naturalization test?
Yes.
Yeah. So what is the supreme law of the land?
Well, that's a good question, Nick. What is it?
What does the Constitution do?
I don't know. Why you
Send him home.
put me in the
Send him
spot?
home. Send him home. He can't
Are
get.
those the questions? What is the supreme law of the land?
Are Mark and I even allowed to stay? We don't know
Well,
that.
I don't even know. Justice? I don't know.
What is one right or freedom from the First Amendment? Anyone?
Speech?
Yes. You only had to get one. That's fine. How many amendments does the Constitution have?
There's 8.
Brilliant.
How many amendments?
Okay.
I know. Well, I'll tell you this, Nick. I know there's only been one amendment that's been overturned, which was the 18th Amendment. And the only reason why I know that is because that's what started prohibition. So I'm just going to... 21. And the 21st Amendment was to repeal prohibition.
What did the Declaration of Independence do?
Declared our independence from Great Britain.
Correct.
From your homeland.
Yes. Anyway, we're done with that.
This is fun, though.
I think we've all established that.
Well, let's talk Breeders' Cup, Nick.
Yeah, the Flo pulled a massive all-nighter and somehow got away with that.
I know.
We got to start a Breeders' Cup trivia night. I think that's what we have to do.
I can show you my U.S. passport if you want. Make sure you have the proof,
Trivia. Let's not do that ever again. I mean,
Listen, earlier on, we managed to get wrong how many Breeders' Cup winners he'd ridden. Can I talk about the two most high-profile Breeders' Cup winners you've ridden, particularly Gunrunner? Because I don't know. I always feel a bit sorry for Gunrunner because he came right off the back of Ferrochrome Arrogate.
Yeah.
But he's never really talked about it in the same breath. But the back end of his career was absolutely stunning. I mean, is he the best you've ridden?
By far, Nick. I mean, it's not a question. And like you said, I think the past few years we didn't have a horse like him, competing. Since Arrogate, I think he just was the next one. We are justified, of course, but his career was cut short. Right after the Triple Crown, he was retired. To stud. So.
this effort was remarkable, though. I mean, the fractions that he was setting, being pressed the entire way by Collected. I mean, when you were coming around that turn, did you know? Because he seemed like the type that could do anything that you asked of him.
Yeah, honestly, and that was not really the game plan. Say, hey, Flo, you're gonna break, you're gonna go on the lead. I was not really trying to go. He broke extremely sharp, that day, and I just took the lead and looking back and looked like Martin Garcia was content, where he was, and we were going plenty fast, and from there we just start, trying to slow it down a little bit. We did a little bit in the backside, but like you said, you see 22:45. If you just look at the fraction, you're like, wow. But it's not like we are 10 lengths in front of everyone else, and that was just like a big speed duel, and those horses, they finish empty at the end. Those horses, we start 1-2 and we finish 1-2. So,
I mean, you've won aboard him too. The richest races in America: the Breeders' Cup Classic, the Pegasus World Cup. What do you think it was about him and you together that made such a good pair?
I don't know. I give him more credit to the horse than myself. The horse was just extremely talented. I was just very lucky to land on his back, actually. But I had good connection also with the horse. I always, breathed him a lot, prep him a lot, before his races. I couldn't tell you exactly what the number of time, I was on his back, in the morning. All the time, Steve and his team, felt very comfortable with me coming over there and prep him, for those big events. And we just keep winning those and getting lucky. So it was just was just a part of the routine, we did for the pre-race.
It's funny, we've had, I think you can split the jockeys we've had in this on this show into two categories. And some, you ask them about their technique and how they ride and how they approach a race, and they say it's instinct. I don't really look at the form. I don't really look at the numbers. I don't really pay attention to the other horses. It strikes me that you are actually a lover of the game as well as someone who enjoys riding horses. That you follow the game. You'd be glued to the racing even if you weren't a jockey.
Yeah, you're right about that. I'm very passionate about the sport, and it's what I love, and it's what I feel like I can, actually give people, I can help them, if they ask me questions and stuff like this, I feel like I kind of know what I'm doing out there, and like you said, I just love the sport of horse racing. When I'm, if I like every day, I'm spending like now or two on the computer, watching, replays, pulling charts, watching, the news, like, like the blood horse or the racing form or the TDN. Then I switch to the French racing and I start looking in Australia, Hong Kong, and it goes on. And I just never get enough.
When did that love begin for you? I know you grew up in the sport, but was it from day one?
No, actually, no, it's a good question, Brittany. I started really getting interested when I was about like 11, 12. Before that, I had nothing to do with it. My dad was trying to like get me, to the stable or ride horses, and I just wanted to play sport and play with my friends and do what, kids do. But when I start getting 11, 12, I'm starting to get a little more, interested and starting to sniff around, and I went to jockey school when I was 13, and from that day, I just never looked back, and just loved every single day of it.
You were a natural.
I don't
You're
know.
very good at getting on with people, at forming relationships, professional relationships as well. Your relationship with Brad Cox has been a massive hit from the minute you guys got together, and Monomoy Girl's been a recurring thread through that. What is it about him that you admire? Why do you two click?
I think we both passionate about the sport. I mean, we just love it. I mean, I can stay with Brad and we can talk for hours and doesn't feel like he's bothering me. I think we're very connected because we like the same thing, and that's horse racing. And I know Brad he just loves it, and it's hard sometimes. Like I will say, sometimes family and friends, because that's all I know really. Sometimes I would like to have another great hobby and do, but it's just just what we do, so we are interested by.
It is funny, those in horse racing, if you get a group of people together that are all involved and you're at a dinner table and you're like, well, we were working at the track all day, we don't want to talk about work. Maybe 5 minutes later you're all talking about racing.
Yeah, exactly.
Whether you like it or not, Mark probably doesn't much now.
That's what we do, let's say, okay, if I have a drink, with you guys, when you guys are in town, it must be like Nick or Brittany. We're gonna talk about stuff, even like it's no interview, we're not working, but that's all we know, and we're gonna talk about the stuff we like, and you guys are same as me, you're just addicted to it.
That we are. Back to Brad Cox and, of course, the great Monomoy Girl. At what point in time did you know that she was something special?
That was right. That was the first time I rode her. I just thought, okay, she's nice, but I was not super impressed. It was a mile or mile 16 race on the turf. Her first race, I didn't ride her. She ran at Indiana Down, if I remember. That was a mile or mile 16, and she won with Marcelino Pedrosa, and she was just very green, just all over the place. And so I rode her at Churchill Down. It was at night, I remember. She had a big shadow roll on her, and same thing. She was running like she was, on like a drink. Looked like she drank, She was like a snake. And I'm like, oh, she's fine, but I wasn't super excited. But when she ran on the dirt for the first time, it was in the race named the Rags to Riches. It's a prep for the Golden Road. It's usually running. It's running actually this Saturday. this Sunday, sorry, at Churchill Down. It's usually one of the beginning of the meet, beginning of November, and she won the race by like 4 or 5 lengths, and the time came back really fast, and I was like, wow, I think we have something pretty special here, because I was not expecting that, from her that day, and from that day I'm like, I think we have something really good.
You hear Brad Cox get pretty emotional when he talks about her and what she meant to his career. What has she meant to your career and you personally?
Well, she means a lot. I mean, it's not, I don't really sink in, because she's still here, and we're still racing her, and she's still winning. But when you can see what she accomplished, especially her 3-year-old year, it's just phenomenal. She just keep winning those Grade 1 races, like are just regular races, and she beat some good horses, and she won the distaff at the end. And that was like she had a few layer injury, came back after 15 months layoff, come back and win, and now we got her to a Grade 1 level and win again. And now she's gonna go into the Breeders' Cup distaff, probably as a favorite. It's just amazing. I mean, she means a lot, and she's really, really talented. And honestly, I feel like there's not one race I'm like, oh, that was a best race, and she got tired and this. I just don't fit my opinion. I just don't think she tries. I mean, I feel like she's like 70-80% of the time. I just don't feel like she's not really trying.
She just
you kind of see she runs her head up a little bit too.
Yeah,
she knows how to get the job done, doesn't she?
I'm sorry?
She just knows how to get the job done.
Yes, exactly. And sometimes she's if she gets beat, it's her, she's her worst enemy, because she just wanders around. She looks around at some things I don't even see, and she just try to pull herself up. She knows exactly when it's time to go, when it's finished, and that's it.
Now, has the master agent, Doug Brader, managed to get you on some nice spares at this year's Breeders' Cup?
No, that's a good question. He works his magic, I guess, and I'm fine with it. It's
what's he looking like at the moment?
I'm sorry?
What's your book looking like over the 2 days?
I think I got 6, 7, or 8, I don't know, something like that. I think about half of it, or I have pretty good chances. I think I have 2 big chances and some other chances. Of course, Mono Girl will be my best chance.
Yeah. And what would be your other best chance?
Other filly for Brad Cox named Ant Pearl.
Yep.
Juvenile filly turf. She won recently the Jessamine, and
she was very impressive in her last race.
Yeah, she's 2 for 2. She won also at Churchill Down her debut, wire to wire, and the turf was a little bit soft that day. So I know she can handle, softer ground if necessary. So I'm excited about her. What do I have? I have a Diamond Hoops also for Patrick Bianca. Will be amazing to
win. Full circle.
It goes full circle, exactly. Will be amazing to win this one for him. Will means a lot, for myself and for him. And I got Arklow in the Breeders' Cup turf. Training for the 3rd time. Hopefully, 3rd time is the charm for him.
He's such a cool horse.
Yes,
that's anybody's race. Anybody can win that race.
Well, with Gaieth out.
Gaieth out. No soft ass, no enable, no love. It's anybody's race.
Mogul's is coming up, no?
Mogul's a good horse. Well, if Magical runs, I guess she's the one to beat, but that's only an if, and she could go to the fillies race.
Don't you like the horse of John Gosden, Lord knows?
Listen, on his Royal Ascot win, he'd have a good chance if you believe that he was going to get a 1.5 miles. So I wouldn't say he's an out-and-out 1.5 mile horse, and he has to come off a really bad run. Now, the jockey eased him off. The ground was ridiculous at Ascot, horrible at Ascot. So, you can excuse him that, but he needs to find that Royal Ascot form again, I think.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I'm excited about Arklow just because I feel like we try some blinkers on him in the morning, very late. As a 6 years old, he's pretty much unheard of. Usually you don't put blinkers on horses, at this age. He just walks a lot. I mean, he just walks, great in the morning, and his only race with blinkers has been great. That's been my opinion, his best race at Kentucky Down. Winning the Kentucky Turf Cup. So I'm excited. He's coming off strong, and I walked him a few days ago. He's doing extremely well. So hopefully you can pull it off, would be amazing.
Can't wait. Get us excited for it. What's the vibe like at Keeneland right now? Can you feel the energy? Is it
No.
starting to? No.
No, there's nothing going on. There's no fans. It's dead.
Are they putting up extra seats and stuff?
Yeah, there's no one else sitting in there.
Listen,
No one else filling the seat.
I'm on my way.
Yes, hit me up when you hear, Nick.
Well, yeah, I mean, obviously that I'm not sure. We'll arrange a socially distanced conversation.
Of course.
Well, because Flo, as zoned in as you are on your writing and as dedicated as you are, you also like to have fun. You are a happy, outgoing guy. So like when you're decompressing, let's say after, the Breeders' Cup Classic or something, how do you enjoy yourself?
Well, I have a drink first, that's why Mark is here.
Exactly.
I was hoping you'd say that so we could segue to Mark's final drink.
Good transition.
What would the drink of choice be for you, Flo?
It depends what's on the menu. I like to try different things. I'm not, really a one. I like my cocktail, what I like, but if there's something on the menu looks interesting to me and I like, Mark will be very helpful, in this situation.
Thank you. I'm the same way, Flo. When I go to a bar or a restaurant, I usually have my backup, whether it's a Manhattan or a Negroni or something like that. But if I see something on the menu that catches my eye that looks really, really interesting, and it seems like the bar team has put a lot of effort into it, I'll give it a try right off the bat. So, and a lot of inspiration has come from trying those new things. So I think it's a great mentality to have. Absolutely.
Well, that's what I do. And actually, I don't know if you've ever been to Louisville, but there is a thing here called the Urban Bourbon Tour. I don't know if you never did it.
I haven't, no.
It's pretty cool. It's like there's a bunch, of bar, restaurant, who are all, actually part of these things, and they give you like a little passport, and all the time you go to a bar and try something, they stamp it.
That's fun.
That's awesome.
And they tell you like, okay, this bar here, you need to try this kind of drink. They're known for that, and it's all based on bourbon. And I'm not a big bourbon, type of guy things, but their cocktails, some of them are just amazing. And we went there when my family was in town from Chicago.
Yeah.
And actually, I remember 4 bars, and I looked the next day on my passport, and that was way more than 4. So I guess,
that's the downside of the passport, right?
Got erased from my memory, but it was we had a great time, and that was fun, and that's a good thing to try here in town.
Awesome. The only time I've been to Louisville was actually, I'm sorry, Brittany. The only time I've been was actually for the Breeders' Cup. Was in 2018, and it was my first time to Kentucky. And I was on my best behavior. That's when we were really starting to get these drinks underway. So I didn't get as much time to socialize. But the next time I go, I'm definitely going to take your recommendation on that. That sounds like a great idea.
Cool. You would like that.
Awesome.
Well, let's see if we can entice Flo with the final drink of the night. Tito's vodka. Yes?
Absolutely.
What you got for us, Mark?
All right, guys. So we're in week 25. It's hard to believe it. But at this point, believe it or not, even I'm having a little bit of difficulty some weeks figuring out what I want to make. So sometimes I'll be talking to my wife, Jasmine, who I swear exists. I know we have to get her on the show one of these times. But I say to her, babe, what should I make this week? And she'll start listing off different drinks. And oftentimes she'll actually name drinks that we've done before. Not because she hasn't seen the show, but it's been pretty long running now, so she'll forget. But this week she named 1 or 2 that we had done, and then she suggested a pear martini, which is something we haven't done yet. And I love the idea of it because not only are pears in season right now, beautiful orchard fruit, but it also reminded me of one of my favorite desserts we used to do at the restaurant, which is port wine poached pears. I don't know if you guys have ever had that before, if you enjoy that, but it's one of my favorite desserts. So as we know, port wine is that fortified wine from Portugal, beautiful sweetness to it. I think Nick commented the last time we made a drink with it that it's something you don't want to have more than 1 or 2. You might feel that the next day, maybe like Flo you did after you looked at your passport that day. But it's a great pairing. Great pairing. You see what I did there with pear. So that's what we're going to be doing today. We're going to be making this Tito's martini with that classic combination of pear and port wine. So I'm going to switch views here again. get fancy. And so we're going to start just with some regular, I've got Bosc pears here. I'm going to show this to the screen. I'm going to do it to this one right here so you can see. We're doing half a pear just cut up into cubes. And we're going to put that directly into our tin here. We are going to muddle that, but first we're going to go ahead and add some port wine. So I'm going to do
forceful muddle, right?
This is going to be a forceful muddle. You already know. Yep. So that's kind of a thing on the show flow, is that for certain things like gentle herbs like basil or mint, we do kind of a gentle muddle because it can get bitter if you over muddle it. But Brittany and Nick already know that if we have just fruit in here, we're going to do a pretty forceful muddle to extract those juices. So I'm going to do 3/4 of an ounce of port wine.
Nick and Brittany, it's like the being pro.
Yeah.
Good now.
Incidentally, Mark.
25th episode, you guys must be.
We're rubbing off on each other. I'm learning more about horse racing. They're learning a lot more about cocktails and booze here. But Nick, you had a question?
See my
No, I was going to ask everybody watching, if they're still with us, whether during Mark's cocktail making you are, hands or face. Do you focus on his hands or do you focus on his face?
It's a good poll. I feel like that's going to tell me a lot about my personal appearance. If we go with hands, that means people don't really want to look at the face too much. So I don't know if I'm ready for that answer, but let's take the poll anyway.
I'm hands, Brittany's face. What are you at home? Just stick it down.
A lot of pressure on you. Kate and Bradar says we expect Flo to make this for us next time we're together.
Hey, there you go. Sure. All right, so pay attention, Flo. You got it, though. I believe in you. So we're going to muddle this together. So we're going to take our muddler, again, overhand grip here, and a pretty forceful muddle. Here, it's all about extracting those juices from the pears. Depending on how ripe your pears are, like this one is not extremely ripe, you may have to give a little bit more oomph to it. But I can already start to see those juices coming out, mixing with the port wine. That port's also going to give us a little bit of a nice color. Not quite a purple, but we're going to get almost like a blush pink by the time this drink is done. All right, so that's looking pretty good. And now we're going to balance out some of that sweetness that we have with some fresh lemon juice. We're going to go ahead and do 3/4 of an ounce for this as well. All right. And now we're going to get to our Cointreau. So Flo, forgive me if I say anything incorrect here, but I'm going to try to give some history to this beautiful brand of triple sec. I don't know if it's one of your favorites or if you ever have it, but this is definitely the high-end version of triple sec that's a go-to for home mixologists and for people in the bar. So triple sec, it's interesting, almost like the Dutch Curacao that kind of preceded it, which is another type of orange liqueur. It gets its flavor predominantly from the really aromatic oils from unripened bitter orange peels that are infused to a neutral grain spirit. And then that neutral grain spirit, not a grain spirit, usually like a sugar beet spirit, but that's redistilled. So when you redistill it with those botanicals, with the orange peels, it volatilizes all of those compounds, those aromas, and you get this very concentrated distillate. That's then blended with some more neutral spirit as well as water and sugar, and that's how you get your orange liqueur. So the name triple sec itself is a little bit of a mystery. So sometimes people ask, where does that name come from? There are two schools of thought on that. So first, people say that it could be in reference to the fact that that base spirit, which we infuse the orange peels into, is triple distilled, meaning that it's a high quality spirit. The other theory actually comes directly from the Cointreau company, and they say that the word triple is in reference to the number of different orange peels that they infuse into the spirit. So that would be dried bitter orange peels, dried sweet orange peels, and then fresh orange peels as well. They say that the name sec, I guess French for dry, refers to the fact that basically it's a high quality spirit, so you don't need as much sugar to make it taste good, which is going to make that liqueur basically comparably drier than other orange liqueurs. So those are the two schools of thought on the name triple sec itself. Flo, I don't know if you can weigh in, if you know something I don't, but I'm just that's my best understanding of it. But it's a great liqueur to have around in your house. You can use this for margaritas, the sidecar that we did earlier, cosmopolitans, and this crazy drink that I came up with here called the Last Port of Call. So why did I call it that? Basically, last port of call would be the last stopping point for a ship on their journey, right? So this drink, because it reminded me of that dessert, is going to be kind of the last drink you would have for the night. So it's a nice dessert cocktail. So I added 3/4 of an ounce of that Cointreau into our tin. And now finally, 1.5 ounces of Tito's handmade vodka. And we're going to give this a really good shake.
Mark, MJ says, how's the book coming along?
It is coming along very well. Basically, trying to get all these recipes that we've done throughout these 25 weeks into a nice format. So I've got a really great structure going on with that, as well as picking out the different guests that we've had. And I'm going to need your help as well, Nick and Brittany, to kind of pick out some of their great quotes and some of the fantastic insights that we've gained, which we don't get from a lot of interviews in different formats, right? You know, in this situation, we have time to really get to kind of the intimate details, the more personal stuff, what people are doing kind of to pass the time or their personal interests. So I think there's a lot to draw on from that, and I think it's going to be a fantastic book. So thank you for asking.
I think Flo's comment is talking about his bourbon passport and only remembering 4 of them.
I love that, and I can relate to that. So I think that's got to work its way into the book here. So let's add some ice. We're going to give this a good shake.
People need to know I'm not a big drinker too, so.
Oh no, it's the bourbon tasting. I think Dad and her husband Norm actually did the same thing, a similar thing, bourbon tasting. So it must be the hot thing to do out in Louisville.
Well, I guess so. That was pretty cool. That I was expecting to like visit, places, bourbon. Like I've been to like couple, distillery and stuff like that. But that was pretty fun, especially with, like, you downtown, you just take, Uber here and here, and it's very accessible and pretty easy. And some of the places are actually on the same street, so you can knock off, a place or two.
And
they call that Whiskey Row, don't they? Whiskey Row is kind of the street that has a lot of those different distilleries.
Yeah, they do, yeah.
Right in the same location? Yeah.
And bourbon making is such an art form, much like making cocktails, mixology. And so I think it's really fascinating going to some of those distilleries and just hearing the history and hearing what goes into making, each of these spirits or liquors.
Absolutely. Yeah. So guys, we've fine strained this cocktail. You definitely want to double strain, or what I call fine strain it, because you've got those muddled bits of fruit, which you don't want to get in the drink itself. It's just imparting the flavor by muddling it. So I'm going to do a little pear garnish here.
Nice.
I'm going to hold it up to this camera. Let's see if you can see it.
It's a beautiful pink color.
It's beautiful blush pink there. Yeah. So this is just something I came up with. Again, almost just inspiration from my wife. But hopefully, if you have had port wine poached pears, this is going to take you back to that great dessert, that great memory. And it's a fantastic way to cap off a night. Whether you've been on a bourbon tour or just chilling at your own home, this is a great way to finish
it. If you listen really carefully, you can hear Jasmine in the background there. You're
doing a great job, Mark. Keep it up.
Flo, we're not sure she exists.
Let me in.
Cheers, guys.
Well, cheers. That looks delicious. I would definitely mark myself down for one of those.
Ooh,
cheers, you guys.
It looks great
today, but it was well worth it with the 3 top-notch guests that we had. Look, we get your little girls to say goodbye. They were probably the highlight of the show.
They're gone now.
Like our viewers. No.
I guess they find something more interesting to do.
Well, Flo, thank you for joining us. We will
see
you in about a week and a half's time, socially distanced out there at Keeneland, and we wish you the best of luck with all of your mounts. It's been so fun chatting with you, and good luck.
Thank you, and
all the best, Flo.
See you soon, guys.
Take care.
Real pleasure,
Bye,
Flo.
Mark.
Take care. See you.
The great Florent Geroux, looking forward to seeing him and Monomoy Girl and all the others at Keeneland. Just 15 sleeps to go. I need to go have one of those, Brittany.
It's past your bedtime, I think, Nick.
It is, but the good thing is, Mark, sometimes I'm a bit buzzed up after this show, so I just need some reading material to and luckily I have that.
Can you show off one of the other beautiful girls that's in the magazine?
I know. I'd have to print all the other pages off. And
He only got this one and the leopard print one.
I mean,
There, right.
I like that. I felt really cool in that suit. I don't care what you think.
you look,
It felt high fashion.
you look really cool in the suit. I love a bit of animal print. I mean,
Well,
I don't think I'd carry it off myself, but
I think you could. We should try it out. Well, to everyone watching, let's give them an update. We've got another show next week, same time, same place. And then we will have a special edition of Cocktails and Conversation live from Keeneland, pending all of our COVID tests and Nick being allowed into the country. We'll be live on site at Keeneland, and that will be on Wednesday. So keep in tune to social media for the time and the special guest. But that will be a wonderful edition from Kentucky. Get out of here. Okay, we're going. Good night.